Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in every life when the world seems to shrink into a single heavy breath. Moments when pain feels like a question with no answer, and the heart feels like a room where all the windows have been shut. We try to hide our wounds, as though brokenness were a shameful thing. Yet the truth is quite the opposite. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are the proof that you were stronger than what tried to undo you. Many people imagine strength as a loud, blazing force, something fierce, something always victorious, but strength is often quiet. It is the simple act of opening your eyes after a night you thought you wouldn't survive. It is standing on trembling knees and choosing, once again, to move forward. It is the courage to believe that even though life has bruised you, life has not ended you. We often think scars disfigure us, but they do something far more astonishing. They transform us. Pain has a way of carving wisdom into the places where fear once lived. Every wound carries a message, not of defeat, but of becoming. Just as a tree grows stronger at the point where it once broke, so do we. The places where we cracked are the very places where light can now enter. There is a peculiar thing about suffering. It isolates us and yet connects us all at the same time. Everyone you meet carries a quiet story of some battle fought in the dark. Some carry wounds that never fully healed. Others carry scars they rub like old memories, and yet those very scars make us gentler. They teach us to be patient, to look at others not with judgment, but with understanding. They teach us compassion, not as a theory, but as a lived truth. Life does not demand perfection from us. It asks for honesty. It asks us to admit that we are human, that we are afraid, that we have cried in places no one saw. And in that honesty, something remarkable happens. We begin to heal. Healing does not erase the past, it transforms it. Your scars will not vanish, but they will change from reminders of pain into reminders of survival. There may come a day when you look at your reflection and scarcely recognize the person who once felt so defeated. Not because you have forgotten the pain, but because you have grown beyond it. You will realize that what once threatened to break you has become the very thing that built you. Strength does not emerge from ease. It is forged in fire. Scars are not signs of defeat, but evidence of survival and transformation. True strength is formed in quiet perseverance, not in moments of ease. Rising again turns suffering into wisdom and compassion for ourselves and others. Scars are not signs of defeat, but evidence of survival and transformation. For they carry within them the silent history of every storm you have endured. When life leaves its marks upon us, our first instinct is often to hide them, to treat them as flaws that reveal too much of our vulnerability. Yet the truth is that every scar, whether seen or unseen, tells a greater story than perfection ever could. A scar is proof that something tried to break you, but failed. It is the sign that you endured pain, walked through uncertainty, and found your way back into the light, even if your steps were unsteady. Instead of being symbols of brokenness, they are reminders that healing took place, that the wound did not remain a wound forever, and that you possess the quiet courage needed to outlast darkness. There is a strange, almost sacred beauty in scars because they show the contrast between who you once were and who you have become. They carry the memory of battles fought and lessons learned, marking the places where you were stretched, shaped, and refined. A smooth surface tells nothing, but a scar speaks of resilience. It whispers that transformation took root in the very place where pain once lived. When you look at a scar, you are not seeing a moment of destruction. You are seeing the moment you began again. Scars remind us that life is not meant to stay unbroken. It is meant to evolve, and sometimes that evolution comes through hardship. In that sense, scars are like the rings within a tree, signs of seasons survived and storms weathered, each one adding depth and character. People often imagine victory as something loud and celebratory, but survival is a victory of its own, often quiet and unrecognized. Think of all the moments you carried on even when you felt like giving up. Think of the nights you held yourself together when the world around you was falling apart. Those moments carved strength into you, even if you didn't notice at the time. Your scars are the evidence of that strength. They are the living proof that you kept going. They show that you were not defeated by what tried to hurt you, even if it took time to rise again. Sometimes the greatest triumphs are the ones that leave marks, because those marks show that the journey was real and costly, yet still conquered. Transformation rarely feels beautiful while it is happening. Most growth begins in discomfort. Most strength is shaped in moments of uncertainty. A scar is simply the final chapter of that process, a symbol that the pain has been rewritten. What once hurt you now teaches you. What once threatened you now empowers you. What once felt like an ending becomes the beginning of a deeper understanding of yourself. Scars change us, but they do not diminish us. They deepen our compassion, soften our judgments, and make us more human. They remind us that everyone we meet carries their own invisible battles, and that kindness is always the wiser choice. When you see your scars through this lens, they stop being reasons for shame and become reasons for gratitude. And perhaps the most powerful truth about scars is that they do not erase the past, they redeem it. They show that even though pain entered your life, it did not get the final word. You did. You chose to heal. You chose to persevere. You chose to transform what was meant to harm you into something that now strengthens you from within. Your scars tell the world that you survived, that you learned, and that you continued forward with a heart still open to life. True strength is formed in quiet perseverance, not in moments of ease, because it is in the unseen hours of struggle that the soul learns what it is truly made of. When everything is calm and predictable, when life moves smoothly and the path is straight, we may feel confident, but that confidence has not yet been tested. It is only when the winds rise, when certainty slips away, when the world grows heavy on our shoulders, that strength begins its real work. Strength is not loud. It does not shout or demand recognition. It grows in silence, often unnoticed even by the one who carries it. It takes root in the simple, stubborn decision to keep going when everything inside you whispers to stop. This quiet perseverance is the kind that shapes character. It teaches us to continue even without applause, even without visible progress, even without assurance that things will soon get better. It is the kind of endurance that is built one difficult day at a time, through choices made when emotions are fragile and hope feels distant. When you get up after a night of tears, that is strength. When you choose to try again after failing, that is strength. When you keep faith in yourself despite the voice of doubt telling you otherwise, that is strength. These small, steady acts of resilience carve a deeper courage than any moment of easy triumph ever could. True strength often feels nothing like what we imagine. It doesn't feel heroic in the moment. It feels exhausting, uncertain, and lonely. There are days when perseverance feels like carrying a weight that no one else can see. But it is precisely in those quiet, heavy moments that you are growing the most. Just as a seed pushes through the soil in the dark before it ever reaches the sun, human strength develops long before it becomes visible. The world may see only the final bloom, but the real work happened underground in the hidden, faithful struggle of simply pushing upward. It is there in the unseen effort that we learn patience, we learn humility, we learn resilience, we learn the difference between giving up and letting go, between endurance and stubbornness, between blind hope and brave hope. We learn that strength is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. Quiet perseverance teaches us how to navigate uncertainty with grace, how to move forward even when the destination is unclear, and how to trust that every small step counts, even when it feels insignificant. Life's ease may give us comfort, but difficulty gives us depth. The person you become after walking through a valley is never the same as the person who entered it. You begin to understand that your power is not found in the moments when everything goes well, but in the moments when everything falls apart and you still choose not to surrender. Each struggle becomes a lesson. each setback a teacher, each hardship a silent sculptor shaping the contours of your inner strength. Quiet perseverance is what allows you to emerge from hard seasons not bitter, but wiser, not wounded, but braver, not hardened, but more compassionate toward yourself and others. And when you finally look back on the path you walked, you realize that the strength you have now was not built in sudden flashes of courage or dramatic victories. It was built in the steady, faithful endurance of 1,000 small moments when you didn't quit. It was built in the quiet places where no one applauded, where no one noticed your effort, where only your heart knew how hard it was to keep moving. That is where true strength is born. It is the kind of strength that cannot be shaken because it was not formed in comfort. It was forged in perseverance. Rising again turns suffering into wisdom and compassion for ourselves and others, because every time we fall and choose to stand, something within us expands. Pain, though unwelcome, has a way of opening the heart in ways that comfort never could. When life wounds us, it changes the way we see the world. The edges of our certainty soften, and we begin to understand the hidden battles that others carry. Each hardship becomes a quiet tutor, shaping our thoughts, refining our beliefs, and deepening our connection to the human experience. In rising, we do more than survive. We transform. We become more aware, more patient, more attuned to the fragile and beautiful nature of life. Suffering, when met with resilience, becomes a bridge to wisdom, and wisdom becomes a doorway to compassion. There is a profound shift that happens when we rise after falling. We learn that pain does not arrive to punish us, but to teach us. It teaches us the limits of our strength and then invites us to surpass them. It teaches us the importance of gentleness, both toward ourselves and toward those around us. A person who has never known struggle may understand concepts, but a person who has risen from struggle understands people. The heart that has been broken has space for empathy, space for tolerance, space for forgiveness, not because it has forgotten the pain, but because it remembers so vividly what it felt like to be undone. That memory softens our judgments and widens our compassion, allowing us to offer understanding where we once offered quick conclusions. When we rise again, we carry the imprint of our journey within us. Those who have walked through darkness notice when someone else is stumbling. Those who have known loneliness recognize the quiet ache in another's silence. Those who have fought their way through doubt see the flicker of fear in someone else's eyes and respond not with impatience but with kindness. The lessons learned through suffering are not abstract, they are deeply personal, etched into the soul by experience. And because of that, the compassion we give becomes more authentic, more rooted, and more powerful. It is not pity, it is recognition. It is not sympathy from a distance, it is connection born from shared humanity. Wisdom also grows in the aftermath of rising. When we fall, our illusions are stripped away, revealing what truly matters. We start valuing presence over perfection, sincerity over performance, relationships over pride. We learn that strength is not found in pretending to be unbreakable, but in allowing ourselves to heal honestly, slowly, and fully. This understanding stays with us, shaping the choices we make, the words we speak, and the way we navigate our days. With each rise, our perspective grows broader, our priorities become clearer, and our hearts become more anchored in truth rather than fear. And perhaps the most meaningful transformation that occurs each time we rise is the way we treat ourselves. Suffering has a way of exposing the harshness with which we judge our own hearts, but rising teaches us grace. It teaches us to forgive our missteps, to accept our imperfections, to honor our attempts even when they fall short. The compassion we extend to others begins to extend inward as well, softening the self-criticism that once kept us small. We begin to understand that rising is not a command to be perfect. It is an invitation to keep going, to keep learning, to keep becoming. In this way, every rise becomes a chapter of both strength and tenderness. We rise not just stronger, but wiser, not just wiser, but kinder, not just kinder, but more deeply connected to the world around us. Rising again does not erase suffering, it redeems it. It turns the weight that once threatened to crush us into a foundation on which we stand with greater clarity, greater resilience, and greater love. Each time we rise, we become not only the survivors of our own story, but the quiet helpers in someone else's, carrying forward the wisdom and compassion born from our own journey through the shadows.